there's no volume. Okay. Do I get paid for this?
I lost my
Liz?
view.
Hey everyone, I'm Liz Anastasi, and I work at the Greenberg Public Library, and I'm also part of the Hartsdale Greenberg Rotary.
Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah Lazari. Right now, I guess I'm a community member, but I am registered for pre-K next year and will have a second grader next year as well. And I will have my camera on shortly, so thanks.
Thank you. Dr. Iverson?
Hi, good evening. Dr. Iverson, Superintendent, Greenberg Central School District.
Kelly?
Good evening. My name is Kelly Johnson, community member, former graduate, and my son is currently a student at RJ Bailey.
Okay. All right. So in terms of, Stephen, did you get any word back from the folks on YouTube?
Yeah, they're listening and they can hear perfectly.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so that's introductions. In terms of the agenda tonight, I don't anticipate a super long meeting. We're going to adopt the meeting minutes from our last meeting. We are, oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Sorry, we're going to, hold on. I'm sorry, I had two things up. We're going to adopt the meeting minutes from our last meeting. We are going to go over, the superintendent is going to have some updates for us from that last meeting as well. I'll give some updates on the stakeholder and business community outreach, and then we'll have some questions and concerns. And I'll ask from the beginning, is there anything else that anybody has on mind on their minds that they would want it to be addressed this evening?
Taking the masks off.
I imagine that would be in the superintendent's updates.
Yeah.
Will you have something for us on that, Dr. Iverson?
Yes, I can certainly give an update on that. I sent out a message earlier today, and but there are conversations continuing, so I can certainly provide where we are on that.
Perfect. Anybody else?
Hey,
right.
Jamal,
Yep.
I would love to hear an update. I'm sorry, I didn't unblock my camera, about visitations and things like that into the building. Do we know about when parents might be allowed to come in buildings, things like that?
Mhm.
You can address that as well, Dr. I?
Yeah, where we are on that, yes.
Okay,
certainly.
perfect. Anybody else? All right, cool. So I'm going to share my screen with the meeting minutes from the January 22nd, 2022 meeting. Okay, so in attendance, we had Jessica Muldoon, Liz Anastasi, Steve Morton, Samantha Ives, Kelly Sheehan, David Warner, Edith Horn, Sarah Lazari, Denise Alamo, and Johan Snaggs. We did adopt meetings from our November 22nd, 21 meeting. We had a presentation from the Greenberg Library that we had a whole bunch of fantastic ideas come up as it pertains to that. But in general, just we're looking to have the library be a catalyst for community engagement. And some of the things that are below here, Dr. Iverson will be able to speak to today, as we've had a conversation about a number of them. In terms of the various different events, we discuss getting the Nettie Jackson Award and when that's going to go out, that we should have an answer on that as to when we'll do the award. I do have a number of volunteers, so we should have an answer on when we'll do the award by our next meeting. We discussed some potential events, none of which are firmed up yet, but as soon as any of them would get firmed up, we will share that out with the community. We talked about some outreach, and I'll update you guys on that tonight as well. And Dr. Iverson will also have some updates related to our discussion in that regard. And then we discussed improved district communication. That once again, some of that is a part of the conversation that Dr. I will be sharing tonight. Did anybody see or have anything that should be added and or amended as a part of these minutes? Hearing nothing, I move that I'm gonna get this one day, David.
Adopt the minutes.
I move that we adopt the meeting minutes for our January 22nd, 2022 meeting.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, meeting minutes adopted. Thank you very much. Okay, up next, we have our illustrious superintendent and her updates for the committee this evening.
Okay, so there are many things I would like to go over. First, what's burning on all of our minds is the latest update from our Governor Hochul, who all through the break, and I tried to, as we receive updates, to get them out as soon as possible. And as late as Sunday, we had a meeting, and that's when Governor Hochul midday put out the guidance that schools no longer can need to require masks as of Wednesday, March 2nd. And so, so by Wednesday, masks are no longer required by anyone. And we will update our reopening plan to that. But as I indicated in my message today, you know, that's the mask. Our discussions still are, what does that mean around quarantining, isolation? Those things are still in effect from what we understand. The questions we had today was, since the mask is gone, is everything gone? Or is it just the mask? And we've gotten direction that we should get further direction this week about that. Right now, masks are just optional. They're lifted. Pre-K through 12, those who do not want to wear it do not have to, and those who want to continue wearing it. And CDC, I sent that home in the link, and my message does have some guidance on who you are. If you have this, you should probably still wear a mask. It's all individual based, and it's a decision every individual can now make for him or herself and their child. So if you are someone who has a compromised immune system, you still may want to wear your mask. You still can do that if you are in a large group. If you're going into an environment you're not sure of, it's an individual decision, and the guidance sort of speaks to respecting everyone to make that decision for themselves. So that's the mask. So we will do that. We follow the guidance from the New York Department of Health, who gets it from CDC. And today with Westchester County, they endorsed it as well. They are no longer requiring masks in schools. So that's the message on mask wearing. Now, in terms of isolation and quarantining, I don't have an answer on that because we still have shields on desks. We're still sitting within the social distancing. So we don't know if that means all of that goes away. Right now, it's just the mask. So in terms of visitors and in schools and all, it kind of all comes under the next piece of guidance which we should be receiving. Since we cannot require vaccinations of anyone who visits our schools outside of our parents, we cannot require nor even ask that information. The question has been, so what should we do around that, taking off the mask? Because we all know COVID's still there and you can still catch COVID even with the vaccination. So I guess that's the update. Stay tuned. I don't have an answer about that as well. I will say we have had some people, visitors in our buildings who are doing professional development with our teachers. They show us vaccination cards and booster cards before they can walk in and work with teachers still. And so that will continue. With the doors have not been open for anyone outside of even parents to get in without that sort of showing us that identification, but we can require that of them. But we know we have not been able to require, nor are we trying to require vaccinations of our community. So what that means in terms of opening up and just letting it be back to the full level of involvement in the buildings, I don't have an answer, but I think we will have soon. And we're all thinking it will just all go away. And this will no longer, you govern yourselves. You wear a mask in an environment. If you're coming in and everyone will be on their honor. If you're not vaccinated, you should, we won't, I don't know if they'll say wear a mask, but we will hope those who aren't maybe will. We don't know what that will be. So I don't know if that answers the question for you, Ms. Ross, but we're so eager to have you back in our buildings. We're so eager to get back to normal. You just don't know how we met today. All of the media specialists met with me and Liz and Anastasia. I'm so glad she's here because she can piggyback on this. And we have begun talking about that level of increased community engagement we want back in our schools, back to the level where it was before COVID. And we talked about and revisited some of the great things that partners did with the Greenberg Public Library in our schools. And so we talked more specifically about, after we reminisce, what could we operationalize this year? What could we do to begin to rebuild that partnership?
Dr. Iverson, would you prefer to finish all your statements, or do you want to?
No, I'll take questions.
Yeah, let's Jessica Madoon.
Go ahead. Sure.
Thank you, Dr. Iverson.
Hi, Ms. Madoon.
And thank you for your text earlier. I also really appreciated it. You put in there the rationale was because Westchester's a low caseload. It gave us the reasoning why the decision. I guess I'm just wondering, it's parents' decisions, but do parents have to send in a note? Or will that be yes? So really it's going to be if we send our child with it, but they take it off.
Not a problem.
That's just the way it's going to go. Okay.
Our children do not have to wear it if you don't want them. It's your choice.
Okay. And then if they decide they don't want to wear it, even if we send them with it.
Yeah, we won't fight with them. You will just, they can choose to do that. If they take it off, they can take it off, yes.
Okay, we're having good discussions here about it. So
Yeah.
hopefully that will then kind of give us to a good place by Wednesday. Thank you.
So we're anticipating, say, the musical at the high school to be full capacity by the time we have that everyone can get in. And, but, you know, so activities such as basketball games right now, we still have 2 spectators per athlete. Over the break, because we were in the playoffs, I did permit the visiting school to have 2 athletes come with them. Because slowly you can see the scaffolding is backing off. I don't think we want to just do all or nothing. They're taking it one piece at a time. I think this is very good news. We're in a very good direction where we're headed. So everything may not be operationalized this year, but I feel very optimistic about next year. But with what we have, we are beginning to do more. And so more to come. So yeah, to that question.
Doctor, I think what Jessica was saying, and I had the same question, and I just want to make sure we're clear. And I don't know that there is a way to do this. I think what she's saying is if the parent wants the kid to wear a mask, but they show up and don't wear the mask, I can't imagine what the way to operationalize you guys governing that would be.
We will not. That's my point. We will not. We won't. Govern that for you, if for lack of a way to say it. If your child doesn't choose to wear it in school, we won't. I mean, we will encourage if you tell us. But it's not going to be that tug of assuring they have it on.
Got it. Samantha.
Thank you, Dr. Iverson. Thank you so much for all. Hi, nice to see you. Thank you so much for all of your outreach. I really appreciate everything you've been doing even over the break. And I think the science is there.
Yes.
I've been following your links. I don't disagree. My question is that what we know of the science is that, and please correct me, I'm not a virologist, but what we know of the science is masks work to keep particulates from moving out of you. Good masks work, those KN95s and N95s keep particulates from coming in to you. If the community spread is low, we don't think we need them, that's fair. But what is the culture from you, top down, that we're gonna look to build in our schools? Because if I wear a cloth mask into a school of 300 kids, I mean, I'm not a teacher, someday when parents are allowed again, when I wear a cloth mask into a school of 300 kids, it's not gonna do any good for me if those 300 kids aren't wearing masks. Masks don't work that way. I'd have to be wearing an N95, right? Masks work culturally if we say, if you don't feel well, wear a mask. If you have someone that you need to protect in your family, wear a filtering mask. You know, we have to know what we're doing with them, and there has to be permission in the culture to wear them to protect each other. It's not just us. I think the whole culture is a little topsy-turvy, and I'm wondering if you see this as a way to institute a cultural mindfulness around looking out for each other, or really are we just looking to normalize, go back to before times in this one particular way?
So and my position on that is that I'm looking to have everyone really govern themselves accordingly. You know, if you are sick, I will certainly encourage and wear a mask. If you're not feeling well, still stay home. Those things are still in place, but while you're in the environment, if you don't feel you need to wear a mask, you just do not need to wear one. So staying with what's been in place, but not insisting on mandating and regulating it as much as possible, which we in Greenburgh, I have to tell you, didn't have a real problem with that. And we just didn't. We had a lot of compliance. And when I walk in the halls with Mr. Smith, when we saw a student with the mask down below the nose, a simple young man, don't forget your mask from him. Your mask should be above your nose. They did it with compliance. No one argued. So but we're just not governing it anymore. We want to get back to doing what we do, running districts, working on instruction, building back relationships. And this was a relief on the call to say we are no longer going to spend our energy on this piece. We're going to let everyone govern themselves. So we'll give them the information and hope everyone works on their own honor to do that.
I appreciate that. I'm sorry to take up any more time, but
That's okay.
on the flip side of this, are we still, I don't even really know what the formal policies are on sick days, sick leave. Is our staff still empowered to stay home if they don't feel
They
well?
sure are. We asked that question. COVID leave is still in until we get the guidance or legislation changes. Yes, if someone has COVID and it's school related, they are still can use time that's COVID days. That does not count against their leave. So everything's not gone. We still have teachers out on ADA, American Disabilities Interactive Act. These are teachers who have a compromised immune system, and in the thick of COVID 2 years ago, their doctor sent notes to superintendents. I received 5 in September when I got here, indicating that their system was so compromised they could not even come into the building. And under the ADA, we're mandated by law to provide an accommodation for them to be able to do their job from home and or in the facility where they are isolated and not among or with other students. That did put a tremendous burden on the district. I mean, we did it willingly. I care about these teachers, so I don't want anything to happen to them, but I will tell you from an administrative point of view, it became a burden to some degree because I had 2 people per class. For example, there was a teacher who could come to work, needed to be in a room working with no students. Well, while that teacher's teaching virtually the students in her class, someone had to be in the class with her students because we can't leave students. So you had 2 people supporting one position, and that person I had to pull from where they used to be could be a TA. They no longer service the other classes. But that was an accommodation according to law we had to do. The discussions I will tell you today have said with masks on, do we need to still do ADA? We no longer technically have a remote option in Greenburgh. We don't have one. We're in person. So everyone is looking at it, not just from the school's perspective, but medical doctors need to look at. They're quickly writing notes, it's best that she works from home. Do we honor these now when we're in person and there's no need to wear a mask? Why are we doing that as well? Some of them have the option to take leave if they need to. There are options to not being able to be in this environment. So all of these are on the table. We're trying to be very sensitive. I am tread very lightly because I'm very sensitive and caring about people who have weak immune systems. I certainly don't want anyone to come into the environment and feel threatened that they're going to get ill, but this was not supposed to last forever, as we see COVID's not lasting forever to some degree. We're backing off and we have many more mitigating strategies in place now than we had before. Today I got a 7th shipment of tests. We're still getting tests. We can still do tests to stay. Miriam is the weekly testing. It's still there. So those things are not gone away. That's why everything is not gone because masks are no longer there. They still are keeping these strategies in place because if someone gets COVID, we can still support them through the test to stay. Any student whose parent want them to participate can still do test to stay if they become infected. So it's not all gone. It's just this only is what's gone. You can go about your business and not wear a mask. So it's exciting stuff, I think we're on that. I have every hope and thought that we will be in better shape by the fall, and we'll be opening our doors for open house. Liz and I talked about some things today. Just stay tuned. I think it was time to be optimistic about where we're going with schools. And what I heard today that really just made my heart feel so good is that for so long, schools were looked at differently. You know, restaurants took the mask off earlier. You could go in and out. They have finally said schools are no different from any other association, organization, business where they have dropped these mandates. So we're going to treat schools the same. So that's interesting and very powerful. So we'll see what that turns out to be. But yet we push for more guidance. We want to know, put it in, tell us, can I take the shields off the desk? Right now, I haven't done that. I told the principals today, leave the shields, don't take them down until you get further guidance from me.
Thank you. Stephen?
Just real quick, thank you, Dr. Iverson.
Hi, Mr. Morton, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank God. Real quick, will you still have to be required to give us notice every time a student comes down with COVID or a staff member, or is that being phased out also by the New York State?
Yeah, not very good question. Right now, that's still not phased. We still will continue to do that. We still contact trace. When that went away, we still do that. So those things are still in place right now. We will continue to send notices home when we get a case. We did get a couple, I think one today from the break, and I think Ivy sent that out or will be, but yes, we will continue to do that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Dr. Iverson, there's no more questions right now. So if you want to move on to your discussion with Liz.
Sure. So I met with the media specialist today, and they were too very excited to begin to start thinking about what we can operationalize this year. So what we went through all the things I mentioned that you used to do. We will look at those things for next year, but right now we know we're going to try to operationalize what you used to do, which is the summer. Just a second, I'm looking right at it. The summer reading program kickoff. Remember and I remember these students read over the summer, they do activities. We are going to operationalize that this year. We're going to work with Liz, Anastasia with that. And so the media specialists will begin to plan that event. Now, I don't have the specifics, but they left that meeting knowing the next meeting we have in April to come back with the plan for how that will look. But we will have that before school ends this year. And they're looking to open the doors to have some of the virtual open houses. One of the things on the list that was could we do some type of video? I talked to some after you hung up, Liz, a video to get parents in, or a video of the buildings for parents to see for that round up, move up, sort of going to the next building. Those are things we're looking to operationalize this year. So other things we discussed, they're going to meet. We're going to begin meeting. They haven't met all in 2 years. So they are going to meet regularly with Liz and Anastasia to begin that communication and just talking to one another, meeting around activities Liz will share that's happening at the Greenberg Library, that she wants to get in front of our media specialists so it can get out to the PTAs, it can be posted on the website, and we will conversely share with Liz and Anastasia what's happening in the buildings so that that communication continues to happen. So we agree that that will be something we will start immediately. We also talked about book talks. You used to have them when the librarians would come into the buildings and do book talks, some of them around the summer reading, and even visited schools so schools could see who the media specialist or the public librarian. We can do that. We know Liz can come into the buildings or send someone into the buildings, vaccinated, of course, to do the book talk. So that's something we're looking to try to operationalize this year. And there's something to share with students around the reading they're going to engage in this summer. And we talked about one more thing. Just posting on the website. So every school has a library, something on the library website or link. They're talking about updating those websites with all the activities that we get from the Greenberg Library and things that are happening in their schools, as well as putting the activities there that the students will need to complete who are going to engage in the summer reading kickoff program. So those were things we discussed that we can do this year. There are a lot more things on the list that I had that we just don't have an answer to right now. I haven't met with the principals yet. That's this month. But you also mentioned something about having the principals come to the next meeting. And would it be possible to combine it with the superintendent's tea? So I talked to Ivy. That was something I understand that was on the calendar every year. That's not on the calendar right now. I guess that was not included on the calendar, so there's no date for that. I'd like to know more about what that is. The principals also would like to know what will that look like, and maybe not at this meeting. You can tell me later, Trustee Thomas. What would you like to see or have at the next meeting if they were to come? I wasn't able to answer that, but you wanted to invite them to the March or April meeting. If more information on that, I'd like to know. We are looking at internship discussions. We have been working with the high school and the guidance counselors and certain little programs that we hear about where there are internship opportunities. We have been doing that with the guidance counselors when we can, but no real definitive answer on that piece with the business community. We will begin to look at that, but no answer for that tonight. You said something about a student project, the day in the life of a Woodland student, and structure a project to gather video from a variety of students and have them put them together in a structure that can be shared with the community. When I talk to Mr. Smith and I meet with him, I can talk about that and have a report for you on that the next meeting. Liz, would you like to share anything else we talked about?
I think you hit all the big points that I had written down. And like you said, Doctor, we're going to be scheduling our meetings monthly so we can make sure that those two-way communication will be operating smoothly.
Any questions? What are your thoughts? Where are you on some of these?
Go ahead, David.
Okay,
Ms.
I did check in terms of like internship opportunities.
Okay.
I did check in on the supply side. That is, I was involved in WISE. I mentored 5 times, and I checked to see what WISE projects are on the table this year. What are students doing? So who might be looking for some kind of internship, or at the very least an interview opportunity with local business or technology communities. So this is the list of WISE projects for this year. Financial literacy, building a home recording studio, art portfolio, auto mechanics, EDM music, film, video editing, Eagle Scout project, comic book development, script writing, scene making for developing a computer game, learning to cook, nursing, tattooing, music theory, exercise and diet, and cartoon character development. So I'm seeing tech pieces. I'm not seeing a lot of biotech stuff. There's the one financial literacy piece, which could go with almost any business that you contact. But the film and video editing, the script writing, that's all electronics and industry. So if we find any technology companies local, that's what we should look for at least this particular set of students. So that's WISE. That's only one of many programs, but that's one piece of information.
So when I was in WISE, I felt like we had to find our own internship somehow, or is that still how it is? Or
so there's a gigantic network of people. So WISE has been around for 40 years. So you have all of these contacts that are out in the business community who used to be WISE students. And
right.
So they'll take you in if you are an aspiring senior who wants to come do something. So there's kind of this big loyal community of people out there who will help out because WISE has been around for so long. And then there are people who are new. And so you explain to them what WISE is and what it's about. And then the student goes out and does do outreach to the individuals, but you do give the student lists of places to try.
Got it.
So a lot of it's about networking, and that's of course an important skill for life.
Mhm.
Okay.
So now it's Society of so now we worry about the other organizations. So what does the Society of Black Engineers Junior need, right? What do we need for the regular science program? Those things are still out there, and we need to find out more information on those.
Okay. And I feel like it's like how do you link? It's like we got this, and then we have this, and then we have this, and it's how do we link it all together? So the Society for Black Engineers, if I talk to them tomorrow, how do I connect them to, who do I connect them to at the district to make available anything that they do have available?
So if it's a club, then there's a club advisor. If it's a WISE program, then you go to the people in charge of WISE. So I mean, for WISE, I go to Elizabeth Huber because she does the nuts and bolts pieces and will get the contact information to whatever students.
So have you done that, Trustee Warner? Been in touch with the class advisor, the club advisor?
I have been in touch with WISE because I knew WISE, and I thought that Dr. Macaluso was going after the other programs. So that should have come back to you through Dr. Macaluso.
Okay, I'll follow up. I haven't heard him mention that, so I will follow up. And I'll make sure I have an update or have one by the next meeting, have him there. But okay, I can follow up on that. Are you looking to have some of these internships operationalized this year? Are we looking to reestablish these partnerships with them and WISE so we can put this?
Yes, we should try and do something this year while the students are around to whatever extent we can and to a greater extent in the future. So for example, when we did the robotic surgery thing, right? So you had several students a few years ago who would go to a hospital where they would do demonstrations of how robotic surgery is performed. Then you had a group of kids, and you had to set that up well in advance. Something like, as part of my WISE project, I'm going to interview you on this particular topic of business literacy. So I'll come up with 10 questions. We'll have a Zoom call or go there if COVID allows, and do an interview, put that in my journal and learn from that. Okay, that's there's a lot less overhead to that. But you do what you can.
I have a quick question also about the WISE program. I also was a WISE student back in the day, so I remember how that is set up. I don't remember having to seek out the internship. I remember it was a long time. I feel like it was Vic Leviathan that was there probably at the time. I can't even remember. But I guess I'm a little confused at how you connect the internships with the person. I guess as a student, I never thought much about it, but now I'm seeing it as an adult. I'm kind of trying to figure it out. Do you have a database of like different places already there? And then like if a student says they have an interest in cartooning or cartoon design, then you connect them with that? Or do you wait until they come up with a list and then seek out?
There are lists and records of past WISE projects in various formats, going from a lot of it was hard copy. What's happening lately is they've started to put more and more stuff online. So very recent things are more online. The measuring tools are more
this is Elizabeth who has these, who would have.
Elizabeth has, right. You have two people coordinating WISE, and Elizabeth kind of does the stuff in the background.
Got it. So it's I think I probably.
Sometimes there are ready-made things that just pretty much get handed to you, and sometimes you have to go out and hunt. Depends on what WISE project you choose. What's your topic?
So I have reached out to, and this is just going to bleed, what Dr. Iverson was speaking into what was the next step. I've reached out to Tesla. I haven't heard back from Tesla. I have a friend, excuse me. Dog is trying to eat my feet. I have a dog at a friend at Regeneron who is supposed to help me find, because it's like a huge company, and I thought at this point it would have been simpler to get somebody, but I found out a friend works there, and so I still don't have who that person is yet. So it's like a mix of what we talked about before, us not having the cleanest ask, other than sort of, hey, what opportunities do you guys have for us? And I get we're gonna get this. We're gonna get this.
Let me start with Dr. Macaluso, find out about the WISE program, where he is on that.
And, okay, so WISE were pretty good. I should mention, okay, Shayna Weir and Charles Fritz are in charge of WISE, okay? And Huber assists them, okay? So if you need generic information on how WISE works, on how they're running the program now, talk to Shayna Weir and Charles Fritz. Okay.
But based on what you said, so WISE is only one place that people are looking for internships. There's other
places, and of course a lot of things got shut down by COVID, but there are other opportunities for interactions.
Got it.
So David, if you know of somebody that maybe was a past student and they might be open to having internships, should I have them reach out to?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Jessica?
This is part of my work that I do normally, is working with academic policy from the state. And so I'm just thinking about this through the internship requirements from the state, and especially for a CDOS endorsement, which can also be used for one of the Regents exams.
CDOS, can you?
It's Career Development and Occupational Standards.
Thank you.
So sorry, just thinking of like what program might exist at the school, and this could be in partnership with BOCES, of what does or doesn't exist. And going back to Dr. Macaluso, I would think is the main person who would know what has to happen, what courses exist, what is the sequencing of students, because these internship hours would be a component for getting that. And for many students, having this internship opportunity in place of an exam is great, or having an extra endorsement on their diploma. It also helps the school's accountability on the state level, if you're able to have students graduating with extra endorsements. So I'm just thinking of it more of like all the building blocks that you need on the state list. Are those in place? So WISE is one portion of that, but going beyond it. So when you're thinking of reaching out for opportunities, I'm thinking of all the requirements that you need to have in place. So I think that's what I would want to like have more of a conversation with Dr. Macaluso to know what is in place and what might just need to add in to meet those state requirements.
And Jessica, based on your understanding, do companies, I guess I don't know whether it be somebody in HR departments, are they going to know what CDOS is? And is there somebody there who is focused in on helping communities to navigate that process?
I think it depends. One school where I used to work, we built up our internship program, and we had a coordinator, and she was responsible for calling companies, a lot of nonprofits, calling schools for students to go in and be kind of helpers in a school. So she would have to like explain what the program was and know what the requirements. And we had like a sheet that had to be completed with data, and the state has a lot of these templates. And there is a certification a teacher can get to be a work-based learning certified teacher. So these things may exist at the district. And I think my wondering coming whenever this has come up is like, what does exist? I would like to know. There might be a phenomenal program that's going and kids are getting this endorsement. I just don't know that. And I think the community at large would love to know. Like if something's in place, I think would help to unearth that and just kind of share out. Because often, this might be a total generalization on my part, but when you hear students who are going to BOCES, there might be like this misconception of actually, no, they may be getting trade skills, or they might be working towards this endorsement, which is something that the state highly recognizes. So I think also highlighting where that partnership with BOCES comes in is really important also.
I would also mention, I don't know the interaction between, what is it, Community Action and Service, the International Baccalaureate Program, the IBDP program has a component in it in which you have a project that lasts, unlike WISE is your last semester of your senior year, their project lasts a couple of years, right? And so there's probably more opportunity for a long-term interaction with something like that, but I don't know how it's structured. And that's something new, whereas WISE has been around since prior to CDOS and all of that, and you know, does it match? IB, I'm sure there's been a lot of interaction. Do you have any experience with that? No, okay.
No, I only support one IB school, so I don't have as much with that, but there are definitely, it sounds like there are components that come in because there's a lot of flexibility in how schools build their program. They just need to have clarity on that path that students take and the different courses that fit in aligning to those career development standards.
So related to what you just asked, David, is perhaps, well, I guess it still goes back to Dr. Macaluso.
It goes on his plate, right?
Yes,
He kind of took everything and I took everything else and I took WISE.
Got it. All right, and then I'll have a discussion with him tomorrow at the board meeting as well, just so we can ensure so that we can ensure that that as we move forward, we can start to put some points on the board. And in terms of last semester, for WISE, when is that supposed to? When is it? When's
the kickoff has already happened.
Okay, got it. So well, and I don't get it. I don't know if it's the same as it was 20 whatever years ago. I know everybody didn't have an internship in the beginning, and but they wind up getting one shortly thereafter. So hopefully we can help whoever does not to be able to get some of those internships. I think one other thing that you brought up, one other thing you brought up, Dr. Iverson, that we had talked about, it was around meet the principals, and I don't remember who brought it up in the past meeting. Did anybody remember? Was it any of you guys who brought up the idea of having the principals address the CEC meeting?
Multiple people brought that up. So the general idea was that we do something similar to what has happened in past years, but only for the principals. So we've done the superintendent's tea, in which we have both the principals and the central office administrators come in, and everybody gives a 5-minute spiel on what it is that they do. Maybe you have, and then they take questions from the audience. And that has been done year after year. But if you put both the principals and the central office administrators in the same meeting, it's long. Okay. So if you just do meet the principals, the thing moves a little faster, and you have a little bit more time for interaction with Q&A with the public.
And I do think I remember some of the interaction being that there a question about the ways in which we go from school to school to school, what those handoffs look like.
Sure. So the superintendent says, and then introduces each principal, and usually works their way up through grade levels from the pre-K all the way up to high school, and then they okay, now we'll listen to this person, now we'll listen to that person, and that person takes questions, and so on and so forth. And then if there are district-wide questions, superintendent or central office fields those.
Does that answer your question well enough, Dr. Iverson?
Yeah, and now what it is. Is that
Okay.
something you're looking to have this year as well?
I
Or
will
are we
open.
looking to plan something like that next year?
I'll open that up to the committee. It's I guess off the top of my head, I'll open it up to the committee.
I'd do it this year if I can get the principals to do it. It's not like most of the principals have never done this before. I would think that what we want is we lose people traditionally when they move from school to school as we go up from grade level to grade level. And so what you want to do is, well, before people make those decisions, then what that you want is to say, okay, you know what's going on at this school, what's really going on at the next school, not what are rumors, what's it really like at the next school. And the principals usually have a pretty good idea of that, and can allay people's concerns and give them the sense that, yes, it's still part of the same district, and here's what it would be like. It's not so scary. Come on up to the next school and take a look.
And if we do get them, Dr. I, what we can make sure to do is have their portion of the meeting right up at the front of the meeting, so that we address any concerns around people having to stay too late and things to that effect. Sarah?
I was just going to echo that. Yeah, I think this year, if possible, would be great, because yeah, people are making decisions about what they're doing next year. And if we're able to do something like this, and then let's say on social media or something, people are asking, oh, what about this next school, which happens all the time. Then we can point them to this video, hey, learn a little more, go check out what the principals have to say. I think could be valuable.
Thank you for that. So what else?
Follow up on that. See if we could do something like that this year.
Okay. Okay, so I actually don't have anything else for this evening. Does anybody else have any other questions? I don't, Francis, you said you didn't know whether you were supposed to be here. Obviously, you were. I don't know if you have anything that from the community, from the broader community perspective, that you guys are talking about or thinking about as it pertains to education that maybe you want to share with the committee. Sorry to put you.
No. You're asking a politician, does he have anything to say? But I'm not here as a politician. I'm really here as a grandparent and a parent of somebody. And I am very blessed in that I have 4 generations living in my house, from 2 years old, not in Greenberg Central yet, to 91. 91 is very frail, and we do everything we can to protect the 91-year-old, obviously, from the virus. She will not survive it, even though she's vaccinated and boosted. There's no doubt she's just too frail, and just recently got out of the hospital again, for example. My grandson, who's 4 years old and in pre-K, between November and now, I believe it was 5, it may have been 6 times he was quarantined and had to stay home. And most recently, when he was quarantined and they had tests to stay, my grandson, who just loves to go to school, matter of fact, he loves to get on the bus. He has a very nice bus driver. He has a very nice monitor. We stopped putting him on the bus because at least one of those instances, it was because of contamination in the bus. So we stopped using the bus in order to avoid that complication. So where am I going with this? Is that we really need to know, for the 4-year-olds, they don't have a choice, right? They can't get vaccinated, right? And younger. We don't have a choice. We have to protect these children, right? Now, yes, wearing a mask is not good for them mentally. But I can tell you, I visually saw him, this child who is very outgoing, very friendly, running when he knew he had to go to the school and they were going to give him the stick, as he calls it, the stick. Now, I understand more recently they're using saliva. So if there's anything I can share today is that now that there are no masks, this was 5, and it may have been 6 times quarantined since November wearing masks. Now without masks, there's going to be more quarantining if they're going to continue doing that. And we just have to be very mindful of the mental impact that has on our children. the stick. And it's frightening. Now, I understand that if they go in with masks, and they take them off, and that's basically going to be based on peer pressure. That's not going to be based on science, right? That's something that we all have to deal with. But if there are kits that are the stick and there are kits that are saliva, at least for our youngest, let's target the saliva tests to the younger ones, because the stick is really, really traumatic.
That we use weekly. The Miramis is the saliva test. That's the one that's given every Monday. But yes, the test to stay is the swab. Those are the tests we receive from the state. So we don't have any of the saliva tests in our possession. They come from Miramis. They come to us to hand out to the students who have signed up for that weekly testing. So we don't have a supply of those at all.
Right. So then we have to be mindful that we're saying we're not going to have, we're really, if somebody takes off their mask for any reason, there's no instruction to put it back on. And yet I'm sure if they come in and they say, I don't want the stick, you're not going to say, oh no, that's your option to not have the stick. You're going to say, no, we have to put the stick up your nose. There's got to be a balance here someplace. And I'm not sure why they're doing saliva in some situations and they're doing the stick in another. But I can tell you, I never saw such a dramatic change in the personality of a child like I did about a week and a half ago. Now at the town, we're going to be discussing what we're going to be doing about this. And frankly, we're going to be following CDC as well. And we're going to be opening up and removing mask mandates. But we're adults, right? It's different. As I can tell, as I take it from the CDC, and I actually have a colleague who actually works on the virus. And so I get quite a bit of information about it in advance. What the CDC is basically saying is, for adults, we've waited long enough for you to get vaccinated. And, at this point, we can't keep wearing a mask to protect you because you're not vaccinated.
It's
So
8 o'clock.
We're going to be taking off the masks, and, you wear an N95 because those are now available, and protect yourself. And that's not an unreasonable position to take. It really isn't. But for the 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds and 2-year-olds, there's got to be something better.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing, man.
See what happens when you ask?
No problem whatsoever. We welcome you back anytime. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share before we close? Well, I think go ahead.
Just one quick thing while I have a captive audience. The Greenberg Library is going to be doing our annual teen poetry contest starting in March, which is like now, right? If you have any teens that you think might be interested, I'm going to be sending out all the details this week. So we're looking forward to it, and we've got some great prizes, and we're working with the town to have a really great poetry celebration to honor our winners and have a poetry slam and everything. So I'm going to be sending those details out this week.
Are you also going to send that to the Dr. Palmer at the middle high school?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, what age is a teen to you? 13, 11?
Usually, that's the question, right? Usually we do 12 and up for the contest.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Perfect. That should be awesome. I
Well,
definitely.
it's about 6th grade. Could be. So would you send it also to Bailey and to the high school? The media specialist who we spoke with from Bailey, Miss Valerie Williams today, so that she can be, here's an opportunity where we can get some of our students involved in the community event at the public library. We do have some poets in our building, some very bright students.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Go ahead, David.
Just to reemphasize the Nettie Jackson Extra Mile Award. I know you spoke about it earlier, but the Nettie Jackson was a pretty much tireless, lifelong advocate for our students. She mentored little first graders and little children for 20 years after she retired from the school, and she just went above and beyond the call of duty for our students. And in her honor, the Nettie Jackson Extra Mile Award is for anybody who has gone above and beyond the call of duty for our students in this past year. And that can include staff members if they do something other than what's in their job description, and that can include community members. And I know we've had some unusual times with COVID, but in unusual circumstances, people sometimes do unusual and good things. So if you know of anybody, the nominations for the award come from the community, and nomination forms are available on the district website. If you go to About Us, Board of Education, and look for a little trophy icon towards the bottom of the screen, it says Nettie Jackson Extra Mile Award. It details everything there, and you can take a look at it and write up a nomination, a paragraph as to why you think this person deserves the award will do. You traditionally send it to the district clerk, and that's now Joya Ponticello. And then in June, we have a little trophy, and we'll see if we're back to in-person meetings at that point in terms of people being able to participate in the audience. We do that to a certain extent now, but things are coming back, and we hand out a trophy and honor that person and at the last board meeting of the year. So get your nominations in. Be thinking about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm nominating you, Dave. Anybody else have? No, seriously, I am, because Dave's like our longest running board member. He's been at this for a long time. He's been very helpful, to me, and even understanding what it means to be on the board, because I got elected without even knowing what it meant. So, thank you, David, man. You're doing a good job, man. I appreciate you. Anybody else have anything? Alrighty then. Well, you guys all have the rest of your Monday evening back to yourselves, and I thank everybody for being here. I make a motion that we close the meeting.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Good night,
Aye.
folks.
Good night. Thank
Night,
you.
everybody.